Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week, I have two excellent friends again. I'm back to having two. Welcome back, Kirk. How are you?
Hey, it's good to be back, and this time I will not ruin the surprise of who is the other friend.
It is the excellent Trev. Welcome back, Trev.
All right, be honest. How many thought it was Justin? Hey, I'm glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, I guess that would have been more of a surprise, but that's okay. We love to have you back, Trev. Thank you for joining us this week, both of you. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of Mario Kart related news. There's a very good interview that happened during the week, and we'll delve into some of those details. It gives you a lot more details about Mario Kart World, of course, the upcoming Switch 2 game, lots of other bits and pieces, as well as some games that we're playing. But let's kick things off with our countdown to the Switch 2. It's now 10 days away. 10 days. We're almost in single digits. It's so close. Just over a week. How are we feeling, guys? Are we excited? Kirk, have you are you excited now? Is 10 days? Can I call it the end game yet or next week?
Well, it may or may not be 10 days, depending on how I end up getting it.
True.
Although,
yeah.
well, this is the new approach because I always got to make things more interesting and complicated than they need to be. I do have the system from Justin that we can get, but we're not going to switch the shipping address on that for fear that will cause them to cancel the order. So it's going to go to his place first. Now he's got some crazy plans for picking up yet another system. So he wouldn't be able to ship it out to me until Monday after it's released, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result, I am going to try to get down to Best Buy to see if they're honoring that email they sent out stating that they're going to have units available in store, even if you didn't pre-order. So Sam and I and maybe one of his buddies will drive on down there and hope for the best.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll all have our fingers crossed for you.
Yeah. I mean, no harm if it's not there. All I did was waste an evening, miss a night of AEW wrestling, which will be sad, but I can,
yes.
It'll stream. I can see it the next day on Max. There's my plug for AEW.
Yes, exactly.
Is it Max or is it HBO Max again?
Is it switching back to HBO Max?
I think they changed the name again.
Oh, good grief. Whatever.
Can't keep up.
It's too many AEW, HBO, MAX. I can't handle that many three-letter we call them words.
Oh, are they acronyms? HBO is, but I don't know about Max. I don't know.
I don't know. But who knows? Who cares?
Yes. I thought I saw during the week also that Walmart might have some extra stock or whatever. Yeah.
And I think GameStop has said it too. And Justin alerted me that he found out on Reddit that there's another store that you wouldn't think would have them that is apparently going to. And I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want anyone else to get down there and get it from me if they do.
Good plan.
It's Staples. I don't want to be that guy. Staples of all places may have the Switch 2 on launch day. So, and I've got one really close to that Best Buy. So,
Oh, nice. You got double the chance then. Yes, I think Staples, that's like an office stationery type of place.
Yes.
Yeah. That surprised me because here we don't have Staples, but we have something called Office Works, which I don't know if it's related to Staples or not, but they have Switch 2s. And I was very surprised by that also because it's like, they don't normally carry game consoles. So
I would have never thought so. Yeah. But Staples, they also are apparently selling the current Switch, and I would have never expected that either. So who knows? Whatever.
There you go. Yeah. If you're in Australia also, I did recently learn that Target has opened up pre-orders quite late in the game. Whereas EB and Big W and JB Hi-Fi, they had all did it sort of day one or week one at least. Target has just entered the fray with a pretty good deal. So if you haven't got a pre-order in Australia and you're looking for one, do check out Target's website. They have some good deals. Yeah, cool. Well, that's good to know. Trev, you still going to play the long game and wait a bit longer for the Switch 2? Is that your plan?
I am.
Okay.
But I'm excited for you guys. And I'm certainly, for myself, I'm excited to see a mix of just hands-on impressions. Obviously, we've seen some of that, but that's in a controlled environment with, press under the watchful eye of Nintendo reps in ideal conditions. But I want to hear from the average players who are playing at home on their Wi-Fi or with their friends and family. And So it's going to be interesting. And there's already rumors about a Switch 2 OLED model coming out.
Doesn't
So
take long, does it? For the
yeah,
rumors, yeah.
it'll be an interesting launch window for me.
I mean, selfishly, I want Kirk to get it day one so that we can both talk about it on the podcast. So that
Well,
week. Otherwise, it'll just be me.
selfishly, I want it on day one too.
You can
Nice.
have Justin overnight it. I don't know how much overnight shipping is, but
I have no idea.
Overnight 2 day, it's all good. I just have to figure out what day I'm going to have to take off work because
Yeah.
when it does arrive, I can't be expected to get things done.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. Cool. Well, thank you for the pre-order update. Hopefully listeners have their pre-orders ready to go for 10 days. It's getting very close now. So yes, very, very exciting. So Mario Kart World is in the news again because there was a Ask the Developer interview from Nintendo, which spoke to a handful of the developers behind this new game, which is really interesting. I love these interviews. I haven't read, this is number 18, I think I saw, volume 18. I haven't really read that many of them. I feel like Trev might have been potentially interested in some of these in the past. Would I be right to say that? Or
yeah, I
not?
remember them from like way back in the day. Like they started like with Iwata back like with the Wii U and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I
Yeah.
remember some of those, I guess, classic ones. Now I haven't really like I don't even remember the one before this Mario Kart one,
No,
but
me neither. I feel bad about that.
um,
I should look into
yeah, I
that.
do
That's okay.
remember from back in the day. And of course,
Mm,
back in the day, I think they were a little bigger because games were a little more maybe sporadic.
true. Yes.
So, but of course, for the Switch 2 launch window, I mean, you could argue the same thing because a lot of the games are games we already know. So Mario Kart's the big new game, so it makes
Mm.
sense that they brought it back for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So yes, Mario Kart World has an interview up online. You can read it on Nintendo's website. We'll go through some of the highlights because it's really interesting. For example, Mario Kart World started development in 2017, which is crazy, right? Because that's 8 years ago. That's when that's when the Switch launched. So I guess the sort of thought process behind that is that Mario Kart World was originally meant to be Mario Kart 9 for the Switch, because the Switch didn't really get its own Mario Kart. It had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, of course, but that was, every console generation has its own version of Mario Kart. The Switch didn't really have its own one. It just had, I guess, a revamped one. And of course, we had the booster pack with all the DLC, which was awesome. And Mario Kart 8's been excellent and wonderful and gone on to sell very well. But it's really interesting to learn that they originally did want to make Mario Kart 9 for the Switch. And the reason they didn't is because they wanted to do so much in the game, which the Switch 1 wouldn't necessarily be able to handle very well. And I think that's really interesting coming from Nintendo themselves because we know Nintendo really pushes their hardware. They get a lot out of the system, like the Zelda games, for example. So to hear them say that they didn't want to compromise on quality when it came to the next Mario Kart is really interesting. The biggest example that they talk about is the number of players. They really wanted to get it to 24 players, which is double the current number of players in Mario Kart 8. And they just couldn't see it working without dropping the frame rate right down to 30 frames per second. And they just didn't want to compromise on that. So the good news for them and for us is that they were able to start developing for what was going to be the Switch 2 back in around 2020. So they've had a good 5 years with a new system or the new specs of a new system at least. They weren't 100% sure of what this system would be, how powerful it would be. They were basing it on what they were told, obviously, which is super interesting. And were able to do all the things that they wanted to. So have you guys had a chance to, it's a pretty long interview, so it's okay if you haven't read all of it, but did you guys get a chance to skim it yourselves? Either one of you?
Yeah, I
Trev?
did
Yeah. Nice.
to an extent
Mm-hmm.
to try to pick up. Oh, just to clarify, Gemma, and I know we
Mm-hmm.
probably don't really count that here at Pure Nintendo,
Mm.
but Switch did have what was that Mario Kart game? It was like Mario Kart Live
Oh, with
with
the
a
real
little
life. Yeah. What was that called? It was like augmented reality kind of, wasn't it?
yeah Mario Kart like circuit or something.
Yeah,
You
the
did like
live circuit. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah
that's the one. Which I didn't get it. It's the first Mario Kart game I've never had. So
yeah same here.
yeah.
That's funny because I do have it, and I'm not even the big Mario Kart fan.
Oh,
Really?
man.
What's it like?
Well, it's interesting. It's slow.
Right.
It's fun the first couple times you get it. I mean, you have to
Mhm.
kind of really have the right floor for it in order for the cars
Mm.
to move along well. But it's fun to set up the carts, the tracks, and race a bit. You got to make sure you have no dogs or cats in the room because they go nuts and attack the cars. But
Yeah.
we had some fun with it for a while, and then we'll bust it out and have fun with it again after a long time. But it's been maybe a year and a half, 2 years since we've used it.
Right.
And just
Yeah.
the two cars, you got Mario and Luigi,
Mhm.
and the game is more fun. It's more of a novelty, just like a quick fun novelty.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I think it's such a cool idea, like such a almost a left field thing to think, let's make a real life circuit and
Yeah,
play it on a device. It's such a cool idea, but it does seem a bit of a novelty. So yeah.
yeah,
I feel like it might be more fun if you have pets because it's like constant blue shells
Yes.
nonstop.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Would
you
they
do get a unique view of them from the little cameras down on the car.
I was gonna
So
say, I
yeah,
was gonna ask, do they show up on the camera? And they
yeah,
do.
oh yeah, you
Yeah.
can see them.
I might have to this
That's
sounds
so
like a rabbit
cute.
hole searching on YouTube for pet-related Mario Kart live circuit incidents. That is so cool. That is very cool. Yes.
Sorry to get
So
us off topic there.
no, the topic is Mario Kart, so it's all good. But yes, so if you read this interview, you'll hear from these developers, and I guess the passion comes across from the team. How excited they are, which I just love, and I think we all can relate to that in a way because we're Nintendo fans and we love Nintendo, and to hear the developers talk about it in such a positive way about how excited they were to try these new things, what they wanted to get out of it, such as, well, they talk about the word playfulness a lot, for example, and that goes in terms of the design and the sound. But what I really loved was that, because Mario Kart World is quite different to previous outings, and they've acknowledged that. That's why it's not Mario Kart 9, it's Mario Kart World, it's bigger. But they didn't want to make it too different. They mentioned that they didn't want to alienate current players or even new players who haven't played Mario Kart before. They want them to be able to ease into it. So there's a lot of talk about accessibility, which I really like, just making sure people feel at home. Even something along the lines of, because it's such a big world and you can you can go off in any direction. But when you're racing, you really need to follow a track, right? How do you keep people on that track without them going, oh, which way do I go? Like Tears of the Kingdom, where I get distracted very easily. When you're racing, when you're racing in Mario Kart, though, as opposed to the free roam, where it's fine to go off the beaten track, but when you're racing, you don't want to have to, because it's so fast. You don't want to have to stop and think, oh, do I go left or right here? So they've had to put in pretty clear, I guess, signposts to make sure that people follow the right circuit. If that makes sense. I thought that was a really interesting point too. And music was also a big part, which I really thought would speak to you, Trev, in particular, because you and I seem to love our music in games. But did you catch that? There are over 200 songs, or was it around 200 songs in the free roam mode?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing. They called
And
it
I
this.
I
Yeah.
will I will admit,
Yeah.
though, in Mario Kart, especially in the heat of a big battle,
Hmm.
I may not always notice
Yeah.
music quite as much, especially if I'm getting slammed by shells and wiping out of banana peels. But
Yeah.
I like the idea in the free roam
Mm-hmm.
because that'd be where I'm really able to appreciate it, I would think, just kind of exploring and,
Hmm.
um, so I think that's a nice feature. I would have been disappointed if there wasn't something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It makes me really excited to see what sort of tunes we can expect for that free roam mode, because yeah, it's less intense. Obviously, you're not racing, you're not trying to win or avoid items. It's a different mindset. You're exploring, you're having fun, you're seeing what's around this corner and what's over there, what's over that hill.
And even if they're not brand new songs,
Mm.
like, there's so many old songs that they could remix, like,
Yeah.
going back to the Super Nintendo. I mean, I was thinking about it, not that it's a direct comparison, but, like, you play Hyrule Warriors, and
Hmm.
they take a lot of the classic Zelda tunes, and they're so heavily remixed, it's almost like a rock and roll version of,
Yes.
these Zelda tracks, and you're like, "Wow, that's awesome." They could do the same thing with Mario Kart, take some of those old SNES tunes, which granted sounded impressive for the hardware. They did a lot with that sound chip, but update it to CD quality or some kind of orchestral mix, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just so much potential.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell, or you can see how if you were in that field, if you were a music developer, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. If you were a music creator working on this
Composer?
game, yeah, composer, that's it. Thank you. And you were given this chance, I suppose, to work on a game like this with all of the history behind it. Imagine what you could do. Like that would be, I imagine that would be super exciting for someone in that field, given that opportunity. Yeah.
And
So
if
yeah,
they've been working on it as long as they have,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
since 2017, that's like, that's how long they'd work on a big Zelda game. So
exactly,
it's going to be
exactly.
huge. They're going to
Mhm.
need a lot of music
Oh yeah,
to sustain the scope of the game. If they only had a dozen tracks, you'd get sick of them before
yeah.
long. So,
Yeah, exactly. And I love they even talk about the music in terms of the races because, if things have changed in Mario Kart World. We're not just racing and then stopping and then going on to the next race. It's like you're racing and then you're driving to the next race, right? So they're connected, even in the Grand Prix mode. So they talked about that because how do you transition from one circuit to the next without losing that flow. And so that's a really interesting concept to me. And also, even what's the mode called where you have to come in the top, whatever, you get eliminated? It's like an elimination mode, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned that as well, where once you're getting closer to that, end zone, whatever it is, the flag that you have to be in the top 10 or whatever to move on. You can sort of, from the way they described it, it sounds like the music for the next portion of the race starts to creep in to that sphere of sound, and the one you're in currently kind of fades, and it's like it overlaps until you get past that line, and then it becomes the next track. I love the way they've described that. I can't wait to hear that for myself. um, but yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, very excited about it. There's a lot to this. So the other thing, the kind of a few things that stood out to me, and please, you guys, if you have anything that stands out to you, also let us know. But the cow, of course, everyone's been talking about this cow driver, and they
Hashtag Miyamoto. Let's
yes,
get it
exactly,
trending, everyone. Come on, help me out.
yeah,
You keep using it until it sticks.
yeah,
I got to finish that radish, right, Kirk?
So yes, we saw the cow in, I guess, one of the directs or the trailers back, in April, and it became a bit of a, not a meme exactly, but it kind of went a little bit viral. Like everyone was pretty excited about the cow, and even talking about the name of the cow. Like some people thought it should have been Moo Moo. Um, but reading this interview, I do get why it's called cow, because someone in the team did this sketch, and I'll put this up on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, so you'll see it. There's a sketch of a cow driving a truck. Just someone in the team created this drawing, and it just gave them the idea to kind of use what they were calling NPC drivers. Obviously, they're not non-playable characters. Because they're drivers now, they are playable. But previously, the cow was just in the background. It was an NPC. So that gave them the idea of, what if we used, Goombas? What if we used Cheep Cheeps and Pokies, right? So, and that to me explains why it's called cow, because we don't call Cheep Cheeps by their individual names. They're just Cheep Cheep, right? That's a Cheep Cheep. So that's a cow. That's a Pokey. So I get the
Hmm.
name. Yeah, I get that convention
I
now.
don't know. I don't know.
You don't
The-
you don't agree?
well, you know what it reminds me of? Like,
Mhm.
we had some friends, and they got a cat, and like, what'd you name him? And they're like, oh, Kitty. I'm like,
Yes.
and at the time they were kids. I'm like, guys, I'm like, you're gonna regret that in a few years when you get old enough. I'm like, give them a real name, please, anything. And they're like, no, I like Kitty. And then, it's cute when you're like 11 and 12. And then, now they're like in their late teens, early 20s. I'm like, hey, how's Kitty? And it's like, yeah.
Oh.
If we're going to have one that's driving, like we could have a head cow, right? Or a leader of the herd. I don't know. I'm
Yes.
nitpicky because I haven't been feeling good. So Take it with a pinch of salt.
Trevor's not satisfied. And I said before the show, you can't be grumpy about the cow. We found a way. No.
Don't sell the cow short. Like, what if there's an amiibo? What are they going to call it?
Ooh.
Cow?
Yes, cow.
Yeah.
But I love it because they say they're NPCs, but they're playable. Which is it? And then they laugh. And they say it's pretty funny to see a four-legged cow holding onto motorcycle handlebars with her front hooves. I totally agree.
True.
I think it's hilarious.
That's true.
Yeah. I think it's great. And you're so right about the kid thing. I thought that myself this morning before recording. My kids, well, one of my kids in particular always does that with anything, particularly like he's got a few like teddies, like plush toys. And it's like you give him a frog and I'll be like, what do you want to call this new teddy? And he'll be like, Froggy. It's Froggy, or Kitty, like you said. It's, like you get a dog, a pet dog. What's the dog called? It's Doggy. It is childlike in that quality, which is kind of also nice. But yeah, I get it. Listeners, let us know if you think cow is adequate or if you think it should be something else like Miyamutu or Moo or whatever. There's so many options. Yeah. The other thing I really liked, did you have anything to add, Kirk, about the cow?
Do I? You know what? I think I do.
Okay.
One of the benefits of just naming it cow is you don't create a character. It is just a cow. And then you don't have to worry about eventually adding it to, say, Smash Brothers, because it doesn't have a name and a backstory and anything else. It literally is just a cow. How can we put cow in Smash Brothers? So,
oh my gosh. Cut to us in 2 years' time talking about cow in Smash Brothers. We'll try to remember that. Remember episode, what is it, 113? Kirk mentions cow not being in Smash Brothers. That's his prediction.
Yeah. Boy, I hope I didn't manifest that.
You know what, guys, though? You know how, I don't want to say litigious, but you know how Nintendo's really been, using the courts to protect their IPs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Can you copyright cow? What happens when there's a generic kart racer with cows? Can Nintendo be like, hey, that's our idea without a name?
Yeah. Yes. Again, I had this thought this morning, Trev. It's like you're reading my mind because
scary.
Speaking of teddies and plush toys, my son has a cow, and I saw it this morning as I got ready for the podcast. I'm like, that cow really does look a lot like Cow from Mario Kart. It's not. It's from it's a lip balm company called Mugu, and their mascot is a cow, or their logo, whatever, is a cow. And there was just one at the pharmacy, this little plush cow that I bought for my son because he loves plush toys. It's really cute, but I'm looking at it going, that does look a lot like are they going to get in trouble for that? At some point, they're going to have to stop using their own mascot because cow is a thing with Nintendo.
Now, Jemma, you really got to get that Mario Kart home circuit, and you got to take that cow, put him in the car, and film yourself racing around the house.
Oh, that is a great idea. Oh my gosh. Yes. Can I ship it to you overnight, Kirk?
Yeah. Send it over. We'll get it. And hopefully by the time we reach the cow, the cat and dog already haven't decided it's their toy and torn it apart.
Yes. Excellent. The other thing, or a couple other things to talk about with this interview was food, because this is one of the other elements of Mario Kart World that is new, in that you can drive through Yoshi's Diner and pick up some food. And so they, this is the sort of thing that you don't really think, it's presented to us. Here's Mario Kart World. Now you can get food. And you're like, cool, we can get food, and it gives you costumes, whatever. But seeing them talk about how they evolved to this concept I love it. I just love the background detail of how, because you can imagine if you're in a creative industry, or, you're writing a story, or you're, designing a website, whatever it is that you do, there's a process, right? You don't just build it like that. You have to go through iterations, and it's the same with game development. And so they wanted to have food in the game, and they I think they either took it out or they're very close to taking it out at one point because they just couldn't get it working. And what I love about this was they didn't want to slow down drivers. For example, they originally wanted to have the ability to buy costumes from like a shop, but that meant, getting out of the car or taking you away from the road to go into the shop and use your coins to buy costumes, which for them disrupted the experience because it's meant to be a racer. You're driving, you're going quite fast most of the time. So then they came up with the concept of the drive-through, Yoshi's drive-through, go through, get some food. And they had and so they had this one idea, which was the hamburger. And then the developers or the artists went a bit nuts and came up with all of these ideas, which are which are great. And most of them are now in the game. Like you got your sushi and your other foods. So I just love how that concept evolved from an idea to I guess reality. Did you guys have any thoughts on the food aspect? Were you as excited as I was about how that? Do you get what I mean about how things just become like they start from something simple and just the idea generates and
They
permeates, I
start
guess.
from the devs being hungry, probably.
Yeah. Yes.
It does make sense though, because like
Yeah.
when you go on vacation, well, I mean, you guys have kids, so maybe you were a little more structured, taking the kids to attractions. But like if my
Mhm.
wife and I go on vacation, a lot of times it's okay. We're eating different food. We'll get like a
Mm.
nice hotel room,
Mhm.
maybe a jacuzzi tub or something. But it's not like we're doing, touristy things per se. It's really you're just eating different foods, and
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thrill of vacation. So
Yeah.
if you're going the world over, I guess it makes sense in games to try food that you wouldn't normally be exposed to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's
I
a
like
really
the
cool.
idea of a drive-in in a volcano. Sounds
Yeah.
interesting and maybe
Yeah.
dangerous, but you know,
Yeah, that does sound that for the some sort of Bowser related food or costume, I guess, with that one, I think.
it's like
So,
you get 10 seconds to grab your food before the lava comes. So hurry up.
yeah, exactly. Yes, so I'm really keen to try that out myself and collect all the things. I love collecting things, so getting all the food and all the costumes is going to be a priority for me. So yeah. I'm glad they managed to keep it. I'm glad they combined it with the costumes because, like I said, they were kind of separate originally in terms of a shop. I think this is a much better idea. I think it's going to work really well and keep the flow. So, yeah, really excited to give that a go. And the final thing on my list is just road signs as stickers, which I thought related to something maybe you had said in the past, Trev, about signs and whether they were dynamic or not. But even just having them collectible, I don't know how this works. I don't know if I didn't read it properly or I just or they didn't mention it, but I don't know if you have to go past a road sign to collect it or something. But yeah, again, it's just the collectathon. I like collecting things and having these stickers that you can put on your cart as you pass a sign. It just sounds fun to me. It's another little thing, another little addition to the game. Did you have anything to add to that, either one of you, or anything at all to do with this interview that you wanted to mention?
I just wonder with the stickers, like,
Hmm.
because you can only put so many in your cart. Once you have it
Yeah,
the way you like it, are you going to be inclined to swap it out, or is there benefits to having like certain stickers in certain areas or something? I don't know if I caught that.
yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I think there must be a limit, though, right? Because
I
you've
mean,
only got
kids
so
will
much
love it
space.
because kids love stickers. So I imagine the
Yeah,
young Mario Kart players will go
yeah.
nuts trying to collect them all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little bit of customization, I suppose, which hasn't been possible before in terms of you can't change the color of your cart, right? You can choose your cart, you can choose your wheels, but you can't necessarily change how it looks. So this is a step towards that, which is neat. So overall, a really in-depth interview, very interesting. Um, Anything else from you, Kirk, before we move on?
Have we discussed whether they would find ways to integrate other games in this? I'm thinking with the
Mm.
stickers, like putting in like President Hudson could be a sponsor, or maybe you're driving along between the tracks, and off in the distance you could see that fellow up there still trying to put up another President Hudson sign
Yeah.
in the background. I think they could have a lot of fun with just little things like that.
Mm. Yeah, little Easter eggs. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that would be neat. We haven't really Trev did mention something about that a little while ago in terms of promoting other games via signs, right, Trev? Like you said, it would be cool if they had, say, Donkey Kong Bonanza, right? Because that's coming out in July. If you're playing this in June,
Yeah.
seeing a sticker in the background or a sign for an upcoming game would be neat.
I feel like I
Yeah.
used to see more of that back in the like the 90s. I feel like games did a good job of advertising.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
and I'm sure there's all sorts of it's going to be all sorts of little surprises tucked,
Yeah.
here, there, and everywhere to encourage that exploration. I like seeing, like with the P switch, like having to dodge through all the cows. That was kind of
Ah, yeah, I totally missed that, sorry, that was actually at the top.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
I hope there's a lot of fun little things like that. I mean, they could easily incorporate Easter eggs from other games. I mean,
Mm.
you see that in other games, like with the WarioWare, they're always doing little nods to old games. So,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
you
Yeah.
know, what if you went through a portal and all of a sudden you're driving around Hyrule Field,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, or I don't know.
Got Ganondorf chasing you.
Oh man,
No, I don't want that.
that
Um,
sounds epic.
yeah, I know.
You see him in the rearview mirror galloping.
Yeah. That's intense. That's too intense. Yeah, no, that is a good point. Thank you. I missed that. This is unrelated to the interview, but there was some footage shown of missions, which we know are like those P block missions. And a few of us were a little concerned that in the direct they just showed us, or they showed the character collecting coins when they hit the P block. We don't want to just collect coins. We want other missions. And there are other missions because the one that was shown was driving through cows, which looks super fun and a little stressful. So
I
yeah.
want each cow to have a name too.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. You can't just call them all Bob or something. Maybe it's like minions, Bob, Kevin. I don't
You know what it
know.
makes me think of, Gemma, and maybe Kirk. If you saw the Simpson movie, at the end, they're rolling the credits, and Bart's like, "Come on, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom," and he's like, "A lot of people worked hard on this movie, and all they ask is that we sit here and remember their names."
Yes, that's funny. I watched that last night actually, Trev. Not for the first
Oh
time.
man, Gemma, we're in sync today.
I know, right? A couple other little just Mario Kart related news pieces, very small tidbits. One is from Mario Kart Tour, which is that there is a rumor that is an update coming. And the reason this is potentially exciting is because Nintendo doesn't do updates for Mario Kart Tour anymore. It's kind of just recycling at the moment through its previous courses, etc. But someone dug into the code, I guess, or whatever, did some data mining and potentially found some new, I think it was a new character, maybe 4 new carts or something. So that's a rumor, of course, but maybe an exciting rumor if you're a Mario Kart Tour player. Whether or not it ties in with Mario Kart World, we don't know. There might be some kind of tie-in, but that would definitely require an update. So we'll see. And the other Mario Kart news is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has had an update, which is potentially, I guess, its final update. I don't know if that's true. If there may be future updates. It's not like the game is going anywhere. The Switch is still a thing. But this update is, I guess, relatively minor in that it fixes a problem with a truck, the 3DS Music Park truck. And there's an issue with the ghost data that happens in the time trial mode. But I just thought that was interesting to see that Mario Kart is just, alive and well. Were you going to say something, Trev?
No, it's just there's a lot of Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of Mario Kart.
Like, I
So,
wasn't here. You guys mentioned, even the Nintendo Music they brought
mhm.
Mario Kart DS. I wasn't here for that podcast, I think, but
Yeah.
there's a
Yes.
lot of Mario Kart in the air.
There is. Yeah. Yes. Cool. Well, let's move on to some other non-related or non-Mario Kart related news. We've got My Nintendo has sweepstakes called Adventure Awaits: The Legend of Zelda Sweepstakes. What's happening with that? Who has details on that one?
I have details on that one. I got an email. If you, of course, are registered with My Nintendo and you set up to get the emails, they occasionally let you know of these sweepstakes. And this one's really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you click through, you give up some of your platinum points to enter. You can enter up to 5 times. I think it's 10 platinum points each time you enter, I believe.
Right.
I've already entered, so I can't recall exactly. But the prizes on this one, you can get the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess complete box set. I believe that's the manga they're referring to.
Cool.
That is worth, I just had it up here, $130.
Wow.
You also get the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom metal panel and a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild metal panel, both of which are valued at $200
My
each.
goodness. What?
So that's a good kit, especially for Zelda fan. It doesn't say how big the metal panels are. It looks like they've in the image they've got them next to the manga, and they look considerably bigger. So if they're to scale, then this is a pretty good haul. There will be 5 winners. So if you haven't entered yet, go into your My Nintendo account and give up some of those platinum coins for a chance to win.
Yeah, that's excellent. It does have a size, actually.
Oh, does it? I didn't see that.
24 inches wide by 20 inches high.
Okay.
I don't deal with inches. How big is that?
2 feet.
I don't deal
Well,
with feet.
I'm not doing any more math beyond
That's
that.
fine. It sounds decent. That sounds
it's not a meter. That's the best I could do.
Yeah. It sounds decent though. 2 feet. That's like a third of a human's height, right? People are 6 feet tall, so
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Some people.
Above the knee.
Yeah. It's not a postcard, let's put it that way. It's decent. Yeah. That is neat. That is really cool. Have you entered that one, Trev?
I did. I never win them, but I always do enter them. There is one other sweepstakes going on.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess what it is?
Is it Mario Kart related?
Yes, it is.
You win the chance to name the cow.
Oh man,
you got to win that one, Trev.
You got to nominate me. There's got to be some kind of.
Yeah.
You do it. This is your chance. You can make Miyamoto happen.
Yeah.
Can't leave it to sheer. Yeah. It's a. Lego Mario Kart sweepstake.
So. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
I'm glad they let you enter 5 times. They used to, I think they let you enter once, and then I think they gradually went up like 2, 3. So now we're up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's pretty neat, and that'd be worth a little bit too. It looks like the Mario driving a Mario Kart, like the bigger one, not the little one, right? Not the little character that you can interact with, but this is like the model kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks
it's
neat
good
anyway.
too because platinum coins expire, so you gotta use them up
it's
on something.
Good use of them. And you have until August 12th to enter on this one, so there's plenty of time to use those or to get the platinum coins if you've already wasted them all, and go ahead and earn some more. Write some game reviews.
Yeah. Yes.
Or take the survey. I guess they're surveys, they're not reviews, but yeah.
Yeah. And the Mario Kart one ends on the 3rd of September by the looks of it, so you have a little bit longer for that one. But yeah, that's awesome.
If you want to write reviews, write for Pure Nintendo.
Yep.
We won't give you platinum coins, but yeah, you'll get experience. You'll have fun.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. The next piece of news is related to another game that's been announced for Switch 2, a third-party title from Koei Tecmo. It's called Nobunaga's Ambition, Awakening Complete Edition. Has anyone heard of this before, Kirk? Are you aware of this series?
I am.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're not. Well, I shouldn't say they're not my kind of game. They're real-time strategy games that I have always found very complicated and almost impossible to play on the Switch,
right?
Or the Wii or the Wii U, anything they've come out on, and that's why this announcement makes so much sense to me.
Yes, because it's there's a video that the developers have put up where they're showing off the mouse controls, which is super cool. And yeah, I mean, I have not played the series before, but looking at the footage, because it is that real-time strategy, it does look really intense, and a mouse just makes so much sense in this context. But the cool feature that I think was not really ever 100% confirmed before is that you don't have to use the Joy-Cons as mice. You can plug in a standard USB mouse, which is pretty neat. Did you guys know this? I feel like we assumed it, but maybe didn't know for sure. Or maybe we didn't even think about it. Did we think about this?
I always wondered if you could do that before with these kind of games, because you had the USB input.
Yeah.
Could you plug in a keyboard and mouse and play games that way? I guess the developers would have had to have taken that into account.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe there were a couple that did. I seem to think that was an option on some games in the past.
On the
but
Switch,
I could be wrong.
Switch 1?
Yeah, on the Switch.
You can do keyboard. I know that for sure. I think there's only certain keyboards that work, but yeah, keyboards can work. I don't know about mice though, or mouse. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen it before, but that doesn't mean it's not a thing. But this is definitely a thing. They show it in the video. Literally, they're using just a normal PC mouse. So as well as the Joy-Con mice, they do show them as well. So that looks really, really neat and really cool. That's a cool little confirmation to have. And that's a launch day title as well. If you're into that series, check it out. Sorry, Kirk, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to reiterate that that definitely is the best way to play this type of game, or even like a Civ, the recent Civ that came out. Hopefully, you could do it with that too, because these games that are mostly designed for PC and take excellent advantage of the keyboard and the mouse are always difficult when they make the transition to a console. So the less or the more we can ease that transition, the better.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I imagine you mean Civilization 7, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surely that would have mouse controls. I would be very surprised if it doesn't for the Switch 2. Because that's a launch day title as well, I think. Right? I think it is. Anyway, surely it's got mouse controls. Like I said, I'd be very surprised if not. That would just make so much sense. Yes. Moving on, we have some new Game Boy Advance.
Real
sorry.
quick,
Trev has a thing to say. Go
I
ahead.
just want to throw out, talking about the complexities of these games. For any who are middle-aged, did any of you play Nobunaga's Ambition on the NES? Because there were a lot of these strategical games on the NES, and they were so intimidating to me as a kid. I never dared touch any of these, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms or any of those games. But they always looked impressive because they were like these adult grown-up games with like maps and lots of little details and like how many units of rice am I going to sell and organize these troops. So this might be a good game for those who always were curious, like me, and never risked them, to play on the Switch. Maybe the way it's intended.
Yeah, I didn't realize this series has such a long history, and with Nintendo as well. It's been on almost every system, like the NES, like you said, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. It's obviously been on some of the Sega.
I don't know how the heck you could play that on.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. The DS might have been a good one, though. It was on the DS and the 3DS. I wonder if that would have been easier with the touch controls, maybe. I don't know. That would have been kind of cool. Yeah, and the Wii and the Wii U, it's been on virtually every system. So it's been around since 1983. Yeah, there you go. That's cool. I didn't know that. Thank you, Trev.
The more you know.
That should be our theme song. Excellent. So new Game Boy Advance games have hit the Switch Online.
Just Game Boy and Game Boy Color, actually.
Oh, sorry, not Game Boy Advance. Game Boy and Game Boy Color, my bad. And there are 4 of them: Survival Kids, Gradius, The Interstellar Assault, Kirby's Star Stacker, and The Sword of Hope. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to try these before the show, but I feel like Trev might have.
Good thing for you. I did a couple anyway.
Yeah, nice.
I wasn't able to do all 4. Ironically, one of the ones I didn't do was Kirby Star Stacker.
Oh, I thought you'd have gone straight to that one.
It seems like I should have, because I love Kirby. The Kirby games are some of my favorites, but I'm more about the kind of the traditional adventure platforming-esque Kirby, I guess, and not so much the spin-offs like this. But I'll probably check it out eventually. I did check out Gradius, and I know it's Gradius, but at least when I was a kid, everyone said Gradius.
Yeah, I think I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah, like everyone did. So I know technically it's wrong, but I'm going to go with the majority and just keep calling it.
What's
Gradius.
it supposed to be? Gradius.
That's that's like the actual. But you know what? I mean, that wasn't even its real name anyway. Wasn't it Nemesis? Like, I think originally, and
really,
the names are crazy. So don't.
Isn't that one of the games they always used to play on that video game TV show? You might know what I'm talking about, Trev. What was that called? It was a competition. Kids would play video games for money. What was that show called? It
Not
was
for
like a
dogs.
game show with 3 kids, and they'd have to play games and try to get the highest score, and I swear this was one of the games they played on it all the time, and I have a recollection of them referring to it as Gradius, not Gradius, so
Yeah.
maybe that's where we all got it wrong.
It vaguely sounds familiar. I don't
God, what was
know.
that show called? You guys talk. I'll look that up.
There you go.
Okay. So is
Anyway,
this just what is the interstellar assault part of the title? Is this like a
I don't,
sequel or something?
or or a spinoff. I
Yeah,
don't
okay.
know. I will say, based on my short time playing with it, this doesn't seem like the sort of game that's best suited for the Game Boy. At least on the
Mm.
Switch, you don't have to deal with the blurring, but it did seem a little slower paced. But I've never been the biggest Gradius fan anyway. I've always been more Life Force, which was the follow up. I do like that there's difficulty settings
Mm.
because these
Yeah.
games can be very, very hard. And I feel like it's the sort of game you have to really memorize more so than just react. Um, Music's pretty good for the humble Game Boy, but yeah, it's it's not really my thing. But I am glad it's on there, and
Yeah.
the power up system at least seems improved from the one on NES. Like you don't have to be cycling through like a bar to access your power ups; they're a little more instantaneous. So I do like
Mm.
that. Um,
Yeah. For the Game Boy game, also known as Gradius, see Nemesis. So yeah, what I don't really understand is
yeah, I
this
think in Japan it was Nemesis, and I think they renamed it in the States.
yeah,
And
but
same
just
thing with Life Force. That was
mm,
Salamander, and
uh,
and then on NES it was Life Force. So
yeah, okay. Interesting.
these crazy namings.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it
Maybe in
looks
Japan,
decent.
cow will be named bull or something different. Steer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Speaking of names, I got the name of that show.
Ooh, how'd you go?
Starcade.
oh,
Oh.
okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
it
dig
was
into
on
it.
briefly. Like it looks like about 82 to 83. The interesting thing
That was
is
way.
that Alex Trebek was a host of one episode, one of the pilot episodes. He
Oh.
didn't become the host of the show, but Alex Trebek was actually hosting Starcade, watching
Wow.
little kids play video games.
Oh man,
Cool.
I
That
want to
sounds
see
fun.
an SNL do a spoof of Trebek hosting Starcade with Sean Connery
Yeah.
Yeah.
playing the video game.
Yes, that would be
Uh,
hilarious. Yeah, it looks like it only ran for a couple of years, but they had 123 episodes. So there you go. It's kind of cool.
to go down the rabbit hole and check out on
Yes,
YouTube or
very easy to
something.
do. Did you try any others in this list?
Oh
Survival
yeah,
Kits or Sword of Hope? Neither of which I've heard of, to be
the
honest.
Sword of Hope I did not play, but I do have the sequel on 3DS Virtual Console.
Oh yeah.
I
Mhm.
will just say what I like about this
Wait,
from
wait, wait, wait. What was the sequel called?
Sword of Hope 2, I guess.
Oh, I was wondering if they were going to change sword or if they were going to change hope in the sequel.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, right? The sort
I
of
Yeah.
don't actually
destiny or
remember
this
now.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think it did maybe have a moniker.
Yeah, it's got a
Um,
Japanese subtitle. I can't see an English one though, like Enkoku no Fuin, but I don't know what that translates to.
I don't know. But what I like about about the sequel and seemingly this first game too is it reminds me of what they call the Mac Ventures, which I played on the NES, games like Shadowgate or Deja Vu, where it's got that little window and you're kind of controlling like a first person perspective.
Mhm.
I guess Sword of Hope would be more in the Shadowgate mold because it's fantasy, but I think it's a unique take on sort of a RPG-ish adventure.
Hmm.
So I'll probably check it out eventually. Um, but the last game I did play very briefly, Survival Kids. I was interested because that's the only Game Boy Color game.
Oh yeah.
In
Mhm.
this batch, the rest are original Game Boys. So Game Boy Color's cool, and I didn't really know what to make of it. It starts sort of like Link's Awakening in a way. You know, character on a ship. They the wave sweeps them up. They wake up on an island, but it seems like it's a little more it's not so much a straight adventure as it is I'm not really sure what it is. I guess they call it a survival game to match the title. But you're
Yeah.
like walking around and clicking things, and they're like, "Oh, I could probably get by this if I need this." So, like I said, I really only played the first few minutes, but I think it's neat. And for a Game Boy game, it looks ambitious. So I respect that.
Yeah. It
I
does
think
have
it's
that.
from Konami too.
It
So they did
is.
some
Yeah.
stuff
And it's
back
got
in the
that
day.
top-down kind of perspective like Zelda as well.
Yeah, you can pick boy or girl, and I think there's. I'm trying to remember if there's. No, maybe that was Gradius that had the settings. Anyway, I think it's a nice batch of Game Boy games that they kind of dropped out of nowhere. I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
variety, whether you're looking for action or adventuring, puzzling, whatever. I think they got you covered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a nice little collection there. Thank you, Trev, for that update. Let's move on. We have time for some games that we're playing. Do you want to save your other piece of news for next week, Kirk, or do you want to go into that now? Because we can make time
Well,
if you like.
I'll do it now because it's not worth saving a week after it's been announced.
Okay.
And I'll be very fast. I've talked in the past about my love for Intellivision, and there was this Amico system, which became a total train wreck of a launch and never was launched. But they've done a good job of trying to get the games out since then that were being developed for it.
Mhm.
In fact, there are a couple games like Astro Smash is available now for the Switch, the one that was supposed to be released for the Amico.
Mm.
The Intellivision, or the people who are releasing this, have created a new publisher called Happy Home Games, and they're going to be bringing 3 of the games that were going to be on the Amico to the Switch.
Nice.
So these are Cornhole, Evil Knievel, and Finnegan Fox. They're only releasing the games that weren't already part of the Intellivision family, and I wonder if that's because those titles are now owned by Activision, or not Activision, sorry, Atari, when Atari bought the Intellivision catalog recently. So again, it's more of a curiosity than anything else. I have no intention, like none of these games were games I was looking forward to playing on the Amico. And yes, I do still have my pre-order in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good for the developers, if nothing else, that these games are going to be available on more systems to more players.
Yeah, that is nice. And I mean, Finnegan Fox looks pretty, like it's colorful, and it has a fox. It looks like a platformer. That one. That's the only one I've looked at. Sorry. Evil
Do any of
Knievel.
our listeners know who Evil Knievel is?
Well, is that a motorcycle person?
Yeah,
I'm curious, Jemma.
motorcycle person.
I feel
I'm
like I know
curious,
it from South
Jemma.
Park. Maybe is that a thing? Yes. Go ahead, Trev. Sorry.
Oh no, like I don't know if you ever look at analytics for our show that kind of can break down audience listener by age bracket. Like I'm wondering if we have listeners old enough to know who Evil Knievel is.
I think,
Well,
yeah, our primary audience is like 30 to 40, I think. Yeah.
Ooh, so they may not.
yeah, I mean, although they did, Evil Knievel's no older than Flash Gordon, and we did get the comment about
We
Brian
did.
Blessed
We
playing
did.
Prince Voltan. So
Oh yeah, that's
maybe,
true.
maybe someone out there was watching on TV when he tried to launch himself across the Grand Canyon in a rocket.
I do think Evil
Oh, right.
Knievel inspired the jumping of Springfield Gorge, though.
That's
Bart,
what
I
I was
think,
just thinking. That's what it sounds
yeah,
like.
I
Yeah,
think he was an
surely.
inspiration.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was spelled EVEL. I thought it was evil, like EVIL.
That was an original. Wasn't that on the original Intellivision, Kirk? So this is like a remake?
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh, I thought it
Yeah,
was.
this one, I believe it's new. It looks like one of those mobile games where you're just kind of guiding the motorcycle along the track, trying not to wreck, doing loops and jumps over ramps and stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
not the kind of game I would have that I think would have been on the Intellivision.
Oh.
Hmm.
And
But
cornhole's
I
just
could be
like
wrong.
what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A farming.
which would make really good use of the Switch motion controls.
Yeah. Cornhole's the type of game we'd play on vacation. We'd eat different foods and we'd play cornhole. And
I don't know what that is. Is it a thing people know? Cornhole.
just tossing the
They don't play
beanbag into the.
cornhole in Australia.
Oh, I'm just looking at it's throwing beanbags into a hole.
Yeah, that's
Like
it.
every
Oh.
picnic I've ever been to, or like,
I
It's
had not heard of that. I'm sorry. I
it's
don't know.
popular here because you can hold a beer while you're playing. That literally is the only appeal of cornhole is you don't have to put down your beer to throw the beanbag.
I could be oblivious. Like, I mean, Big W does sell it, so it's in Australia. But
I
I've never
bet you
heard
you
that
must
phrase.
have a mini game compilation for like the Wii or something that has cornhole in it.
You would think so. I just
You
don't
must,
recall
I'm
hearing
sure.
that
They
phrase,
might
that
not call
term.
it cornhole, but that's what it is. They might call it beanbag toss or
Yeah, that seems cornhole. I thought it was like farming sim based on the name.
it's not cornholio from Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. We have some time for some games that we're playing. Should I kick things off with the one that I am playing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So my next review game is called Please Touch the Artwork 2. And I have started playing this one. I'm really enamored by this, to be honest. It's a very small game. It's only, I think it's like $5. Um, I think it might even be $4 something, and it's on special at the moment until the 6th of June, I think, for $4 something else. Like, it's less. It says a discount. But it's I haven't played the first one, but this is like such a quirky game, but also very relaxing. And you play the role of a skeleton. So instantly I thought of you, Kirk, and you would like this.
Mhm.
And you travel through paintings, like through artwork. So it's kind of a hidden puzzle game. Like, you find hidden object game, sorry. You find objects in paintings, but you traverse between paintings. So you can walk across the painting and then move on to the next painting. Sometimes you go up and down into different paintings in different directions. And someone there will give you a little quest, like find, I don't know, 8 wine bottles. And then you have to go back through some of the other paintings that you've previously visited and click on them. And there's a counter at the top that goes down, so you can see I need 7, I need 6, I need 5. You go through the different paintings and find all the wine bottles and go back to the person who asked for them, give them the wine bottles, they'll do what they need to do with those, and you move on to the next kind of section. It's very well designed. It's very easy, but it's meant to be. It's very relaxing. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy as in the wine bottles are obvious. Some of them are, but some of them are trickier to find. But there's a really good hint system. You can turn off the hint system if you want to, but it's there if you want it. You can have it so that it will show you if you're on a particular painting and you've got 5 more wine bottles to find. And on this particular painting, the little hint system will be crossed out, and that means there's no wine bottles in this particular painting. So don't waste your time. Go to the next one. You don't have to have that on. As I said, you can switch it off. But I just love that it's there because it means I just love options like that. I love that you can make it as hard or as easy as you like for yourself. The paintings, I don't recognize any of them, but they look like them real works of art, maybe from.
Oh, they are. They
Yeah,
are.
that's what I thought, but I just don't recognize them. I'm not, I know some classic paintings, and maybe some of them were in Touch the Artwork 1, and I just.
I only know them because they're all from a Belgian painter named James Ensor.
Right. Okay.
There is a They Might Be Giants song called Meet James Ensor.
Right.
So I know him because of They Might Be Giants. In
Oh,
fact,
cool. Yeah.
I wish they would have found a way to license that song and put it in the game.
Yes, that would have been cool. Yes. But yeah, it's just really neat. And what I love is that you can go, I think there's like 5 different areas that you can explore, like a prologue and then kind of chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of thing. And then a prologue, sorry, an epilogue. You can go to any of them at any time. So I did the prologue, and then I decided to see what would happen if I went to like I think I did chapter 1, and then I decided to do chapter 3 to see if I could skip chapter 2 just for fun. And you can. So you can just do what you want. And I just love that. So it's, the other thing is, speaking of music, Kirk, it's not They Might Be Giants, but there is some really nice classical music playing while you're playing. And it says at the start to put headphones on for the best experience. So I did try. I played in docked mode, and then I took it off and played in handheld mode and had some headphones on. Touchscreen controls, of course, are a thing, and they work really well, as you would expect in this type of game. And yeah, the music is just lovely. If you like, piano-based classical tunes, it's just that style. It's just that really relaxing style that just, sits into the background. It's a very neat little departure. I think I realized last night when I was playing this, I needed this game I didn't know I needed this game. After a tough week at work, I just needed to like chill. And this was the perfect game for that. So yeah, I'll be writing up my review soon and have my full thoughts available. But yeah, so far loving it. Really, really loving it. You can tell there's a lot of dedication put into this. The developer's done a lot of good work, and yeah, it's awesome. So thank you, Kirk, because I think that came from you, that courage. So thank you.
I do remember the first game
Yeah.
Kirsty reviewed. I think she gave it a 9, so she was a
Yeah,
big fan of
right.
it.
Yeah, cool. I remember it being a thing and someone reviewing it and giving it a fairly decent score. I just didn't look into it too much myself. But yeah, this one, yeah, so far so good, I would say. I just love that it's a skeleton as well. It's so random. At the very beginning, you crawl out of the grave. It's not scary. There's no real story to go with it. You don't have a name or anything. You just wander from painting to painting, but you control this little skeletal hand that moves the little character through the painting. It's just so different to anything else I've ever played. Like, I've played hidden object games before, but this is pretty special, I would say. Yeah. Anyway, let's see what Kirk's playing. What are you playing this week, Kirk?
Well, I'm playing, and I mentioned it last week, I'm playing Rune Factory, The Guardians of Azuma,
Nice.
which comes out for Switch and Switch 2. There'll be 2 different versions, and you can upgrade your Switch version if you get it first and then get the Switch 2 later. This is... It's a sim. I mean, Rune Factory, of course, has been around a long time, and everybody knows, what the game is. You have a farm, or, you're basically building up a village, making relationships, having some combat in order to get materials that you need to build things up, and they give you little quests to do along the way. This one looks a lot different from the others. It's got a new graphic engine. It looks more like the Atelier games, like Atelier Ryza and Atelier Yumiya. And the combat has been upped a little bit. It's still not difficult, but there's more of it. I believe I haven't played too many of the Rune Factory games in the past, but it's a little more challenging actually than I would have expected. Not difficult, but there are times when I'm exploring a field trying to get to a location to solve a quest, and we'll run into a monster I have no business fighting yet. Then have to retreat, which I wasn't expecting. But a good game, a lot of quirky characters, good story, well acted. I am not too far enough along yet to really offer a full opinion on it, but should be by next week. I have enjoyed my time with it so far.
That's amazing. And so when does it come out for Switch? It's a little bit earlier than the Switch 2, is it?
I believe they're both coming out the same day. The Switch version will launch
okay.
the same day. Yeah, so June 5th for both versions.
Cool.
Either version.
And will you have the opportunity to test the Switch 2 version, or not for this review?
They said that they will be making codes available for Switch 2 when they have them. I don't know if I would have to start over again with a new game, or if they're able to somehow just provide a code for the upgrade.
Yeah.
But honestly, the upgrade is only, I think, $10, $15. So rather than take a code for the second game, I would just upgrade my version to be able to it's worth that money for me to keep my progress. We'll put it that way.
Yes. Yeah, especially in a game like this, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Trev, are you into Rune Factory at all?
Yeah, I am. I was actually, while you were talking, I was trying to look. I thought I remembered reviewing one. And I've definitely played more than one. My wife was a big fan of, I want to say, Rune Factory 4 or 3. It was one, the style was slightly different. It was a little more top down than that kind of behind the back perspective. But yeah, she was hugely into that. In fact, it's near the top of our most played Switch games,
Right.
primarily
Yeah.
based on her playing.
Yeah.
And Kirk is right. It is not so much maybe a challenging game in the way you think, but it definitely can be if you do things you're not supposed to be doing at a point in your development. The game will remind you, hey. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I want to introduce Jen to this because she's very.
I feel bad. I took the code. I thought I should, since I'll be getting the Switch 2 faster. But now maybe I should have passed this one over to you.
No, it's just probably just as well. He's actually still playing the game I got on my list. So she's not
Okay.
playing right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because this is the one you were playing a couple weeks ago, right? Maliki, Poison of the Past. This one's still going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Oh, are we all done about Rune
I
Factory?
think
I don't
so.
want to.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much about this because the review is already up. But I'll just say for anyone who reads it, I really wrestled with this because I played this with my wife and we were really getting into it. And um, you know, at certain points, in the story and stuff, I'm like, I always kind of check in. So, what would you score this game if you were reviewing it? And she's like, man, I might give it a 9. And I'm like, wow. And I was thinking 8. So we were thinking high, right?
Mhm.
And there's just so much in the way of bugs and glitches and just general lack of polish. And I just had to
Mm.
keep marking it down. And so I really wrestled with how to score it. And I feel bad because I'm like, at its best, I was thinking it might be a dark horse for like my top 10 because that's how much fun we were having. But uh,
Mm.
it's just, I hope it gets updated.
Yeah.
I,
Interesting.
I, I'd just say that. I hope the devs will really polish it up because there's so much good there. I hate to
Mm.
see it knocked down by just crash after crash after freeze after freeze after.
Yeah. It does. It gets frustrating, doesn't it? And it's not
Oh,
a good look, you know,
yeah.
for a full game. Especially if you're spending a lot
But
of time with it and yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but yeah, Jen's still playing it. There's definitely yeah, it's a big game. I mean, and there's things you can do to make it even bigger depending on how you play and how much you want to upgrade your characters and do optional things and whatnot. But so that's my review game at the moment. It's up on
Mhm.
the site. I mean, my most recent review, I should say.
Mhm.
Um, but the other game I'm playing just for fun, and I'm slightly late to the party, or even very late since it's an old Wii U game. I finally picked up Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive
Cool.
Edition on the
Kirk
Switch.
would be proud.
Oh, I am. I'm so proud.
I had some store credit from East Starland, their store around here, and I'm like, you know what? Let me take a chance because I've heard good things about the game, obviously from Kirk and James also, who contributes to us sometimes. He was huge into the game on Wii U, and that's where I first played it.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, I wonder if I could get into this if I. So I'm not very far. I started playing it in handheld mode, and then I realized this is really a game I should play docked, not
Yes.
just for the spectacle, but also because some of the writing. I'm like, man, I can't read. I'm like,
Yes.
these like tutorials are popping up, and I'm squinting trying to read. So, yeah, I'm excited to play one of the last kind of big Switch games, and
Mm.
maybe it'll tide me over until I eventually join you guys with Switch 2.
Yeah. We can't wait for you to join us on Switch too. I want to play Mario Kart World with you. With my camera that I'm getting.
Can I be the cow?
Yes. I assume we can all be a cow, right? Like everyone can choose the same character, I'm
So, do you
hoping.
change the color of the cow, like
Oh,
brown
like
cow?
yeah, like Yoshi's or Shy Guys, how they change. You'd have to, right? Yeah. I want to be like I don't know, a neon pink cow or something or a green
That's
cow.
where the strawberry milk comes from. Pink
Yeah.
cows.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Oh, well, thank you for that. That's good to hear you're enjoying Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. You got a long journey ahead of you there. So
Yes.
enjoy. That should keep you busy while we're doing Switch 2 stuff. So you don't feel too bad. But yes, thank you both. Any final thoughts before we close things off for the week? No?
I guess
Nope.
not.
No, okay. That's fine. Trev, you normally have something, but that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I think we covered quite a bit.
We did, yes. No, thank you both for joining me this week. Thank you, listeners. Let us know your thoughts on all of the things we've discussed, what games you're playing, if you're looking forward to Mario Kart World, and if you're super excited about this countdown, which is now, yes, 10 days away. So 10 short days we'll be playing the Switch 2, some of us, not Trev. Hopefully, Kirk. If you'd like to follow us, we are on social media. We're on Blue Sky, so head on over to Blue Sky to check out what we're doing on there. You can check out our website as well, purenintendo.com, for all our news and reviews. And if you'd like to support us, we are on Patreon, so patreon.com/purenintendo. We are putting together the next edition of our Pure Nintendo magazine, which is a physical magazine that will be sent directly to your door. So get on board and get yourself a copy. We look forward to getting that into your hands. But until next week, thank you and game on, everybody. Bye.
See ya.